Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, unfortunately, are still taking over our lives, which is why me and Cassandra are doing a part two. So if you haven't checked out last week's video, make sure to go check that out. And we're ready to get into it. So if you are too, make sure to give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start off with who showed up to the game last week, which I have a few names. We have Taylor, obviously. She popped out for everyone. And then I saw like Hugh Jackman was there, Blake Lively, Sophie Turner, Ryan Reynolds. Did you see anyone else?
Yes. And then I think the last one on my list was Sabrina Carpenter came as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Yep. But what a weird, I mean, like I knew Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were, have been Taylor's friends for a long time. Sabrina Carpenter's obviously her opening act on this next leg of the Eras tour. She's seemingly adopted Sophie Turner since the whole Joe Jonas drama has gone down. But then like Hugh Jackman was there. I was like, why is the Wolverine at the game with them? But he must be friends with Ryan Reynolds. That's the only thing I can think of. In terms of speaking about who came to the game, we also should touch on the reaction because some people have turned on Taylor this week. People think that maybe, I don't know, she is not the cameraman, she is not begging to be shown on TV. She is really not. They're doing this to her, which ties into some things that Travis Kelce said later this week in his press conference. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the whole backlash that she seems to be receiving now?
Obviously, she's not in control of like what they're putting on TV and things like that, but she ain't mad at it. That's all I'm saying. Like, and I feel like not that it's overrated, but it's kind of like outdone. Like we're like, okay, now. Like if we go into like this Sunday, well, I don't even know if they have a bye week or whatever. But I feel like because I know they play in like London and then they have like a few more games after that. Like if it continues into like November, I'm like, okay, we've ran this well dry, you guys. Like we got to find a new storyline because like I said, the NFL, they're just not used to this level of fame. And so they're like, we are going to wring this out, dunk it in again, and wring it out as many times as possible. But I feel like she doesn't deserve any hate or Travis Kelce because, like, what are they in control of? Like, obviously, they're benefiting off of this. But in his podcast this week, he was like, okay, I'm like, I'm kind of over this, like last week it was fun. It was hee it was haha. But like 2 weeks in a row, like, come on, you guys, let's find something else to possibly talk about. And I just don't think that's going to happen unless the Swifties stop caring about football.
Right. And I mean, if Taylor's there, the Swifties are going to continue to care about football. Do I think the NFL needs to rebrand its social media because Taylor Swift showed up to a game? No, I do not. Do I think there's room for everyone to sit at the table? I also think that, I think we can coexist peacefully, but I do think like as time goes on, like last week or the first game that she showed up to, it was just a huge shock to everybody. Everybody was super surprised. It was like breaking news. And the longer it goes on, it just becomes more of a real relationship and less of a spectacle. So then it's like, do we really need to be reacting this way? I will say I haven't totally loved the people that think that Taylor Swift is bringing this on herself. A lot of people are blaming her, saying that they're over her, that she doesn't need to be a part of it, blah, blah, blah. That usually goes hand in hand with some same rhetoric that I'm sure Ashleigh and I are used to with the whole women in sports conversation in general. I understand how the regular football fans are kind of over, cutting to Taylor Swift after every single play. And I don't necessarily think she wants that. The thing I was explaining earlier this week is that with this whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing, she has nothing to gain and everything to lose. She doesn't need anyone in the NFL to like her. Like she really doesn't. She can go into almost any country in the world probably and have mass fans. So Travis Kelce is the one who's gaining everything at this point. I understand that, like, let's get back to the football. I think they're ready to put things more on the private side, keep things more on the back burner. They're not being as forthcoming with information. He's obviously not like using social media as a tactic to get information anymore.
Yeah.
Send messages to her. But I think we have to be really careful about, being able to recognize that we do want to see Taylor Swift a little bit, maybe not after every play, but let's acknowledge that she's there. But understand that the NFL is still the NFL and want the NFL to be true to itself. But then also, it's still okay for new people, new women to enjoy football. I think those lines have been this got a little bit messy this week. Twitter's a bad place. Twitter's not a fun place to be. And then you saw the whole Barstool, all of the comments and stuff that were made on their end of their corner of the internet. So it'll just be interesting, I think, to see how it continues to play out.
Like I said,
I guess
they cut to her 17 times, which I just couldn't imagine being that like camera person who was in charge of I know they were like in the meeting. You just pointed at her. If she walks away, keep pointing at her. Like, you are in charge of Taylor Swift this entire game. I'm pretty sure they hated Sunday as well. But if you noticed, like at the beginning of the game, it was going pretty slow, which is why they were like cutting. I'm pretty sure like 10 of those times were probably in the first half when the Chiefs were up like 10 or 17 to like 0 or something like that. But once the Jets came back, it started being less about Taylor and less about football. And I think that's kind of maybe where it's going. Like, if Travis and Jason choose not to talk about it on their podcast every week, that'll definitely help them. For one thing, like if you're not feeding the monster is not going to be fed. And if we just all kind of agree to like, let's move on to something else. Like, something is possibly going to happen that we can just move on and talk about. And hopefully that is it, because honestly, I'm a little tailored out myself. Like, I'm a little Taylor and Jason and Travis tailored out. But honestly, the person that most benefited from this, that's had like the biggest success to me over the past year, Donna Kelce. She is the one that's gained the most.
She is killing it. She is killing it. She's on top of the world. I mean,
she's got commercials.
She's in commercials. She was on Good Morning America, right?
And the Today Show, I think. I think she did like a little press tour.
Then it was just the Today Show. I don't know if it was both or if it was just the Today Show. I know she did an interview, because that is another thing. There's some speculation, she did comment on Tay and all the things my girl was doing. And a lot of people are saying, like, is there animosity there? What's going on? And I think the opposite. I think Miss Donna Kelce is simply media trained.
Not only media trained, but like, she's a mom of 2 professional athletes. Like, she's not new to this blog. She's been around the town for a good amount of time. So she's not about to come up here and be like, yeah, their wedding is September 19th on this hour at this place. So like, at the end of the day, she's probably like any other parent. She just wants her kids to be happy. And like, hey, if this is what's making you happy right now, have at it. I'm gonna have my fun too. Don't get me wrong. But hey,
she was what it is. She was with Jake from State Farm. I saw on Jason's Twitter. He was
because she was.
There's a star in my corner too.
Yeah, because she went to the Phillies game, and then she was at New York for the Sunday Night Football game, and I was like, oh, catching flights, not feelings. I see you, Donna.
Yeah, she's killing it. I have really enjoyed just like watching her content and seeing what she pops up in and stuff. But no, I think too, her interview, I thought it was professional. I thought it was very obvious that she didn't want to talk about it, and honestly might have been a little bit afraid to let too much information fly. I mean, with something as big as this is, it's like you have to be very strategic with every word that comes out of your mouth. So no, I mean, I didn't read too much into that.
Just for a little stats of the Sunday Night Football, if you guys already didn't know, like I said, they cut her 17 times. It was the most watched TV program since Super Bowl 57, with the average of 27 million people watching. And it peaked at like almost 30 or like 29 points, something like that, which is kind of crazy for like a Sunday at 8 o'clock. But most of the viewers were around like 9:30, 9:45. And teen girl viewership went up by 53%, which is like the most that the NFL's ever had. So my thing about this is like, I love that the NFL is like giving all these numbers and giving all these stats, but like if if this fizzles out, like these girlies are not gonna stay. Like they're not here for the football. They're here for their Taylor Swift content. And if Taylor exits stage left, they will too. So like maybe you need to start pulling back on this 50 constant so you can like keep the people that's making you the actual money and not this like temporary little surge in pop culture.
I kind of almost think the opposite because it probably will fizzle out or become, like I said, less of a spectacle. I definitely think what they're doing is like front loading it, like they're making it as
Yeah.
big of a spectacle as possible, for now because it's going to get old and like you said, those viewers, I don't think they will stay. I mean, hopefully we'll convert a few. I'd love to have more women in sports. But long term, I don't know what the longevity looks like there. But I was talking with someone else and because he was complaining about how much he sees Taylor Swift and how he didn't want to know anything about her and now he
Mhm.
knows way too much and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, but to their perspective also as well, you know, first of all, she's not the one who is begging these people to put her on TV. Like I think that's really important. If she she had PR already. Like she was being spotted in New York, which she was doing her 1989 PR work, which like prior to the original 1989 era, they took a lot of photos of her with her friends in New York and she was going out and to dinners and stuff. Like she was already doing all of that stuff. She was already laying the groundwork for her PR for her own side of things. She does not need the NFL to put her on TV 17 times. That she does not need that. And I think that's a really important aspect to this whole thing is like this isn't coming from her. This is coming from the NFL. But in there, like with the stats, I know people that find it annoying. Frankly, I get I don't find it annoying, but I'm like because I love Taylor Swift, but I like get every time they show her, I'm like, oh geez, people are gonna get mad, people are gonna get
Yeah,
mad. I almost get like worried, not necessarily, I don't know if worried's the right word, but like just I can predict what I'm gonna see on the internet the next morning. But from the NFL's perspective, right now, it's only doing good things for them. It's
sure.
only doing good things for them. There's nothing is going to make these, you know, in particular the guy I was having the conversation with, I was like, nothing is going to stop you from watching the NFL.
That's
Nothing is
true.
going to stop you from turning off your TV for the Sunday night football game. You're going to watch it regardless because it offers what you want. There's no place for you to go to get that same content. And the NFL knows that. They know that they have your loyalty. They know they have your viewership. They can do whatever they want and nothing is going to make you turn your TV off. So from like a business point of view, it's like this is a short thing, probably most likely. We probably have maybe 1 to 2 more weeks before it's like no longer a spectacle
Yeah.
and it just becomes like they're dating, you know? So it's a short time. They're going to capitalize on it. Like to your point, like the longevity of the fans, like they're not going to stay. So might as well make some money off of them while they're here. But did you see her jean shorts with the little rhinestones?
Yeah, those are really cute. Those are
I was
really
like,
cute.
those are cute.
Yeah.
She deserves at least 3 camera cuts just for those jean shorts. They were
And
adorable.
then you couldn't even see them. All you could see was like her plain
I
black
know.
shirt. I was like, y'all are doing her no justice here, you guys.
No favors. No favors.
Talking about football. Obviously, because the first game, the Chiefs were like blowing the Bears out of the water. And then the
Hmm.
second game, they like their booty cheeks were loose, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then this Jets game. So do you think like it's kind of obviously not biting them in the butt because they had a slip up at the very first game of the season when they lost to
Right.
the Lions. But like, do you think the Chiefs one are actually good this year? And two, do you think this could be like a little distraction?
I think that's 50-50 because I think you can compartmentalize, and I do think that part of these, professional athletes' job is to compartmentalize. But when you read off those stats that, that game had, as many viewers as what did you say, Super Bowl 57, you
Yeah.
know, I think I just think there's got to be some added nerves that come with that, regardless of why people are watching this game, regardless of anything else. It's like It's just got to be a little bit of added nerves. At least I think it would be a little bit of added nerves. And knowing that everybody's watching you, especially more so for Travis than like everybody else.
Yeah.
But he seems to be taking it in stride. Chiefs actually good this year. I want to say like maybe not as good as we all think they are, because it's like they barely escaped the Lions. Or no, they lost to
No,
the
they
Lions in week
didn't. They
1.
lost the Lions.
Yeah, they lost to the Lions, but they barely escaped the Jets. They almost lost to the Jets. Granted, I think Zach Wilson. I retract my statements of the previous episode where I said that he was sucking. He must have heard me. Maybe we give that credit to me. He heard that I was running my mouth, and he was like, I'm gonna show her. So totally eat crow on that one. He had a great game. But I don't know. What do you think? I think they're just not as, I think they're fine. I think they're decent. I just don't know if they're as good as they've been in years past.
Right now, the NFL is like in a spot where like the tides are changing. Like the top dogs are not necessarily the top dogs anymore. And again, that could be given time, athleticism, age, all those good things that come into account when you talk about like professional athletes and stuff. But because like you look at the Bills, like the Bills, they lost a game they probably shouldn't have. You got like the Chiefs losing to the Lions, barely escaping the Jets, and the Jets are playing with, some people would say, the saddest quarterback in the NFL right now. But I don't know. I'd say definitely not as good as they have been, but I mean they're definitely gonna make the playoffs. Like they play in the AFC. Like who's really competing against them? The Bengals, who can barely string together one game. Like it's not a hard competition they got going on there, but I do see why it could be like a little like, oh, like all these people are talking about us, not necessarily for what we're doing on the field, but just because one of our players could be speculated to be dating international pop star Taylor Swift.
Yeah. And also, I just looked this up while we were talking. The Bills are currently losing to the Jaguars.
Oh, so, love that for them. Further proving my point.
Sending prayers and thoughts to London. I felt like it's been all over the place this year, this beginning of this season. We've got the Eagles and the 49ers. Yeah. I believe both of those two teams are still undefeated.
Correct.
Brock Purdy, I feel like nobody's talking about him. I feel like everybody's talking about Taylor Swift and nobody's talking about Brock Purdy. I feel like that could be a whole separate thing. But he's doing amazing. The Eagles team as a whole, it's like they would like start the game really strong and then they get kind of like iffy in the middle and then like somehow they end up winning. So maybe, Taylor, your home team, maybe this is all just a ploy for her. We know she's an Eagles fan, so maybe this whole thing is a ploy to make sure the Eagles win this year. Well, I don't know.
Well, I think that is all we have for Taylor and Travis Kelce, you guys. Hopefully, maybe, possibly, this is it. This is it. Maybe we'll never hear from them ever again. Probably not.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Who do they play this week? I looked it up and then I forgot. They play the Vikings today at 4:30. So
she ain't going to Minnesota. Okay, she ain't going to Minnesota.
There's no way. There's no way she's going to Minnesota. There's no way. No. To see Kirk Cousins, like, why would you go? Last and final note, leave a comment. What are your thoughts, I guess, on Brittany Mahomes showing up and going to dinner and sitting with Taylor Swift? What is everyone's thoughts on that? I have some that are probably not safe for the internet. But
I agree. I stand by that statement as well. Thanks, Cassandra, for joining us for the past 2 weeks. You guys go follow Cassandra on the internet. She's literally the best. And if you want more Cassandra was in the College Sports Tour series. We barely paid attention to a lot of the sporting games, but we had a great time. So if you'd like to check those out, I'll link the playlist down below. Cassandra already told you what to comment down, so tell us how you feel about Brittany Mahomes, as well as make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video, which are Mondays at what time, Cassandra?
11 a.m.
As well as give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down because it's your thumb. And remember, don't be afraid to join the convo.